You must have been one of those sons that was like, okay, I've come up with a dance routine while your mum's like trying to cook dinner or something, and you're like, watch me now.
I mean, it's like having Jane Fonda on the TV with the chair and me trying to impersonate what was going on. The day before the last class of foundation, that I'd got this phone call that they'd cancelled this West End production. And suddenly, in inverted commas, I'm doing inverted commas now, air quotes, I thought my world had crashed. But what I was feeling was immense peace. It takes courage to be brave with the tools.
Welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast, where you get to choose, change and take action to create a different today and a different future.
Oh my goodness. Welcome to Choice, Change and Action podcast. So you are with me, your host. It's 2025. This is like the second podcast of the year, and I'm super excited to have my dear friend Jarryd Nurden on here. So welcome, Jarryd.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, me too. And so I've got to tell you guys, I haven't spoken to Jarryd in a little while, but I guess we both follow each other on Instagram, etc. And the last time I saw you, you were in London, performing at We Will Rock You. And so I wanted to, when we came on here in the back end, I wanted to sort of start chatting to him. And I was like, no, let's go straight to the podcast, because let's do this on the podcast and find out. So, okay. So right now you're in China.
First of all, I just want to say I'm fangirling because I always listen to this podcast. I think you have genuinely one of the most authentic, vibrant, progressive podcasts out there. So I'm just going to say that. That's not a plug. That's my truth. And yeah, it's just such an honor to be on here. So I'm really grateful.
You're one of the people that I got feedback from a couple of times. And one, when you said to me, when you're living in London, you're like, I wait every week for your podcast to come out. And you were like, walking down the street and listening to it, etc. And it's actually really cool to get some feedback, because obviously I'm in my office right now, with my computer and you. And so you're not getting that feedback, straight away. So, and I was in Peregian Beach, it was quite a few months ago. And this woman who I know, she yells out to me, she sees me, she's like, Simone, don't stop doing your podcast. And I was like, okay, I won't, and yelled back. It was really cool. But it's like, I'm really grateful for the feedback. So thank you, Jarryd.
And it's so true because, and I think just in general, we forget to give feedback to each other in life. I think particularly as creatives, and maybe being creatives in the public eye or like quite out there, people just assume that feedback's given, but it's not always given. No. So I literally said to one of our leads in the show currently, I went up to her the other night and I just said to her, you are doing such an incredible job in this show, and your performance is so amazing, and you show up with excellence every single night. And if no one's told you recently, I'm telling you now, because you just need to hear it today. And because sometimes it can feel quite isolating, and you can just think, oh, well, that person just gets feedback all the time. So I'm happy you got that feedback.
Well, okay. So I was actually at the hairdresser's today, hence why my hair, is nice and straight.
Looking good.
Yeah, that's not exactly, I can't straighten my hair like a hairdresser straightens my hair. But I was telling her, she said, what are you up to tonight? And one of the things I was saying, doing a podcast with you, and I showed her your Instagram, and she was like, oh, look how cute he is. And I was like, I know. And then I said, and she actually looked at it and she went, oh, he looks really kind though too. And I said, yeah, he is. And I told her the story about, some friends of mine, Naomi and Izzy, when they came to see, We Will Rock You, and I bought them tickets. And I told you, and I said, yeah. And I said, and then he made the effort to go out after the show and go and meet them. And Izzy was so stoked and so happy about it. And I was like, but genuinely just from this kindness and this kind being that you are. So there you go. There's some
Thank you.
Gratitude your way.
Yay. And again, we're going to segue all the time off these little tangents, but something I always say, even in our industry, when we're on the road, is with actors, it's also part of our job to engage like after the show, because in China we've been received so amazingly. Like you finish the show and the fans are outside stage door and they want your signatures and they've got gifts, and it takes 10-15 minutes to just be present with them, receive from them, but also just be there and go, thank you. Without you, we this doesn't turn. This what we're doing. And I always just say it's part of the job. Like,
thank you for that. There's a video, Garth Brooks, his documentary that he did, I don't know, it's on Netflix or something like that. But I watched his documentary, and he would spend hours outside after a concert, like signing autographs and taking pictures, etc., and with a smile on his face and doing that. And he actually helped me too, because sometimes you're super tired. Like when some classes I go to, like in South America, it's almost like you get mobbed. In Australia, people are like, "Man, you're Simone," whatever. And but there's these different things, and people are just genuinely so grateful to meet you. I'm really grateful that they're there too, though. So I think that's the piece that you have to get. So it's like, yeah, I will take photos, I will sign books, I will do all of that. And yeah, I do. I so agree with that. It's like the engagement that you be with people, because I'm so grateful for the people who show up at the Access classes and choose something different and choose something greater. Even one tool, it's like, great, go for it.
Yeah, it's that connectedness. And kindness afterwards. And it just, a little act can go such a long way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Jarryd, before we keep segueing, because we're just going to keep chatting and, I wanted people to know, like, if someone doesn't know who Jarryd is, who's Jarryd?
Oh my gosh, is this something I'm answering?
Yes, that's something you're answering.
Well, who's
what do you
Jarryd?
do when you just say our industry and stuff like that? Like, what are you currently doing, and like, how would you describe yourself?
Fine. In the beginning, before I went on my consciousness journey, I'd be like, Jarryd is this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Jarryd is who I am and who I be, and I love that. I love exploring him as a soul, as a being, energetically, and all of that stuff. But what I'm doing in the world, I would love to do many things, but currently I'm in Chicago, the musical, on an international tour, and we've been touring China. So when I talk about the industry, I'm talking about the musical theater industry that I've been involved with for over 10 years, touring the world internationally and globally, and living an adventure and a life of passion, learning to action, what that means to follow your purpose or follow that thing, that joy that lights you up every day. Hasn't always been easy, but so musical theater for me, I love because it's storytelling. So essentially I'm a storyteller, and that's what I love to do.
I love that. Uncle Jarryd's telling us a story now. When did you discover that you were like, yeah, this is what I would like to do?
I was asked this the other day in an interview, and I think I said in the interview, it was when I realized me getting attention. So I wanted attention, in a very innocent kind of way, but how it made other people feel. So what I was doing, I loved how that made other people feel, that their joy bubbled up, or me being able to sing, or me being able to dance or express something so organic for myself, but it was how it made other people feel. And I think it's always been a through line for me is always making sure that that's the number one intention when I step onto a stage, be it anything, talking, acting, whatever that is to move an audience, really connect and make them feel something.
So tell me, so at what age did you start this out?
Oh, I think it was always when my mom shows me stuff. I mean, it's always the old videotapes.
Hey, you must have been one of those sons that was like, okay, I've come up with a dance routine while your mum's like trying to cook dinner or something, and you're like, watch me now.
I mean, it's like having Jane Fonda on the TV with a chair and me trying to impersonate what was going on. Because at the time, my mom was a Kalinetics instructor and
Right.
like, lifting up my leg but the person who kind of inspired me to perform was Michael Jackson. And I, against all the controversy, I hold truth with him, and I just absolutely,
he knows how to move, that's for sure.
Knows how to move, knows how to sing, knows how to do everything. And entertain.
Yeah.
He's an entertainer. Robbie Williams, so many of these entertainers just, kind of inspired me to go down that route. So I would say from a very young age.
I like that you brought up some of those artists who they really were about entertaining you. They weren't like this narcissist. Well, I mean, I guess they go through that at stages, but they, I mean, Robbie Williams even wrote a song about it. Let me entertain you.
Oh, and I'm dying to see his new movie as well. That's just come out.
Yes, me too. Me too. I love Robbie Williams. I think he's great. And I also really like Michael Jackson. It's like I wasn't a big Michael Jackson fan at the time. Like I think I was more, I went the other way. Like I can't remember what was out at that stage, but I was probably doing the, what do you call it? Kurt Cobain sort of that
yes.
sort of, I was more that.
Amazing.
That energy, but Pearl Jam and Chili Peppers and stuff like that. But hey, you couldn't deny that Michael Jackson was an absolute like entertainer and fabulous. Yeah. So, so one of the reasons why I did want to talk to you today is to do with everything that you've been through in the past few years, and I would love to ask you some questions in regards to that with your body and everything that's occurred. Because as far as I can see, Jarryd, you've got this such a beautiful being, and as we mentioned before, this kindness and really talented. Like those Jane Fonda videos must have worked out, because I've seen you kick, and you've actually got like a really high kick, right? So you can do that. And so you were reaching this this element. Like when I saw you in London and you were in the We Will Rock You, you were so excited. It was like, London Theatre. What next? And you were successful, happy, all this sort of stuff going on. Correct me if there's anything different in there.
No.
And then what happened?
Well, I mean, through that, there was an underlying awareness that my body required assistance and it needed help. So basically the day in the February of 2023 was the year 2023 was the year I made my official West End debut in We'll Rock You, and it was amazing. Yay! And that January was when I auditioned, and I think it was February 1st or somewhere very close to that. In the morning, my agent phoned me and he was like, "We're signing the contract. Congratulations. We're going ahead with this." And I was in London and I was like, finally. And I mean, this was off the back of me booking a part in the West End in a show the year before. And I think we were busy doing Being You, Changing the World at the time in London. And I had got the news that the show got cancelled.
Right.
And there was a whole facilitation around that process, which was so interesting.
I remember that. So just so that people are aware, Being You, Changing the World was a class that Dr. Dane here was doing in London, and we'll have it in the show notes, so don't forget to subscribe. But
subscribe.
He has a book, Being You, Changing the World, that is in multiple languages and also an audible as well. Yeah, it's such a good book just to open at any page and be like, damn, like, that's applicable today. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was,
I
yes.
met you. I met you there.
Yes.
At that class.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where we connected in person.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing week. And I think I then finished the week off with Sarah Grandanitti's foundation. So it was like the universe completely had my back, and so much change was happening that week in that class, and then even more change in the foundation. And I think it was the day before the last class of foundation that I'd got this phone call that they'd cancelled this West End production. And suddenly, in inverted commas, I'm doing inverted commas now, air quotes, I thought my world had crashed. But what I was feeling was immense peace, which was the weirdest sensation I'd ever experienced. And thank God for the Access Consciousness tools, I was able to step into question and not into conclusion and into fear and all of that. And yeah, just thank goodness. I'm so grateful for the tools, because it really helped me facilitate the truth and Dane helped me, Dr. Dane, the magician. He phoned me and was like, asked me some really potent questions. And a lot of it was like, but have you ever considered that your ask is bigger than what you had originally asked for?
Yeah.
And that maybe you've been asking to change so much, and maybe you're stepping into that and now it's changing. But what if that's a positive? And all around that, like, I'm paraphrasing now, but it was intense. I'm not saying, oh, it was easy. It was so hard to it takes courage to be brave with the tools. Just because they're tools doesn't make them easy, in inverted commas. Like, you have to be willing to really step into and go through the change with the tools in order to receive that magic that the tools are going to create at the end of the day. So that was tough, because my ego was like, what the fuck are you doing? But we got through. Anyway, cut a long story short, as we say in Chicago.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, because I think the listeners will get a lot out of that, what you just said, because how many times do we settle for something, or even settle for the story, or settle for the devastation? Like, how many times when a relationship breaks up, or you lose a job, which was pretty similar to that, people go to, oh my God, my life is falling apart, rather than what if your life was falling together? Like, what if there was, like, I love that. What if you're actually asking for something bigger and greater? Like, I love the,
because at the time,
at
the time, it was my dream.
Yeah.
So I'd been working towards, in inverted commas again, I have an inverted comma, you're going to hear that a lot, towards this dream my whole life. Then I get this moment and it all fucking falls apart. But why?
Yeah.
What else was I doing at the time?
Yeah.
I was asking questions. I was being facilitated. I was shifting myself. I was shifting my reality. I was shifting my point of view. So of course, all of that's going to change, including the goalpost for the dream. What if I'm able to dream bigger than I ever dreamed possible? And what if I can't define that dream because it's too big? Like, and what if I'm just willing to receive that dream without concluding what that dream is, instead of always having to define the dream in order to receive the dream, in order to be at that point? And I think that's what that moment taught me, was like, oh, I've got a part, I'm going to be in the show. Now it's cancelled. Now I don't have money. Now I don't know where I'm going to live. Now that I'm in London, all the stories started popping up. But gosh, when in hindsight, because I was brave, the universe showed me it had my back. And I was able to just be present in each day and use the tools gradually. Everything started to shift for the better. And then, cut a long story short, I got We'll Rock You, which was a bigger show in the biggest West End theatre in London.
Yeah.
Over 2,000 people every night, for Queen, I got to perform on stage with Sir Brian May.
Yeah.
Like with, yeah, like just, it was bigger.
Yeah.
And I
you were
could never,
fabulous.
thank you. And I could never have done that experience if I was contracted to the previous show. Because I would have overlapped and I would never have been able to audition for We'll Rock You. So
that old, like, as one door closes, another door
20
opens.
new ones open. And we just got to be able to train our minds, because we're so conditioned in society that when the door closes, now for the next month or longer, we must just focus on how that door closed in our face and it's just the end of the world. Instead of immediately pivoting in that moment and going, hey, where's the next door?
What next?
Yeah, what's next? Because that door's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And maybe 20 doors quickly close in your face and you go, okay, I'm grateful. I'm still here. I'm still alive. Where's the next door?
Yeah, it's like trusting the universe. Trusting the universe and trusting yourself, trusting your choices, trusting that you know when to pivot and that life and living is malleable too.
And for anyone listening, that is a journey. Like, I didn't just get to that point to know how to pivot. Like, it does require that work, using the tools, psychological, working on your psychology, working on your energy. Like, oh my gosh, no one said this work is easy. You know, it also doesn't have to be hard. Like,
there's only one thing we want hard in life.
Hey?
There's only one thing we want hard in life, right, Jarryd?
Exactly. Please, God. But yeah. If anything, this year has really cemented for me, your point of view creates your reality. Thank you, Access Consciousness.
Thank you. Thank you, Jarryd, for reiterating it though, because I mean, I've been using Access Consciousness tools for 24 years now, and there's so many things that you're just like, and then even you talking about it now, I'm receiving from this going,
because it's actually bloody simple.
Yeah.
The
and
tools,
brave. You need to be brave.
so
What you said. You need to be
have
brave.
to be brave.
Yeah.
Have to be brave, because otherwise you're not going to change. You can do as many classes, as many tools, anything, listen to as many podcasts as you want. But if you're not going to be brave enough to step into the action of changing it, then hey, nothing's going to change, honey.
Exactly. I love that. Hey, so talk about being brave. You have been incredibly brave. So can we talk about what showed up with your body?
Yes. Okay. We're getting there. Okay. So that day in February, signed my contract. That afternoon, I had to go to the cancer clinic in Guy's St Thomas Hospital in London to see a specialist doctor, because we had discovered a tumor in my lung the December before.
Can I ask, how did you discover that though? Like, what were you aware of with your body?
Oh my gosh, I think I could talk for ages. I'm going to be quite brief. So on a timeline, in 2017, I did a full medical before I went to go play in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And we had found...
I love that you did that. Where did you do that?
I was Felicia. I was Felicia, playing in Australia. On the Norwegian Epic, on the ship there, and that's a whole story on its own, and completely changed my life. That show's amazing. So if anyone listening, go and watch Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
So I need to tell you a story, because the guy Stefan Elliott, who wrote that, right? And well, the movie, and Lizzie Gardner, who did the fashion for it, like the
the costumes, wardrobe.
Costumes, yeah. So when I was younger, we used to go skiing together, like snow skiing, and there's a whole bunch of families that would go skiing together. and
Wow.
the Elliots would go and the Gardners would go, right? So they were two of the families that went, and I was one of the younger ones. And I remember one of it wasn't Stefan, he was one of the oldest kids. So, and one of his brothers though taught me how to hide my cigarettes down my Ugg boots so that our parents wouldn't see. You know, that's really what I remember. But it's like, so we all used to hang out at this lodge together, like once a year, and go skiing together. So there you go.
Brilliant. How's that connection?
Yeah.
I love it. So when I did this full medical, they had found a mass on my lung and went further and saw another specialist. And he basically, when I was 2 years old, I died in a drowning accident. And that was a whole moment in itself. But we just kind of ruled it out that it was water damage from then. Fast track 5 years later, my body gets the flu, a really bad flu in the UK. I was doing a pantomime at the time, and I was off for like 2 weeks, and I went to the A&E into the hospital. And because they did a standard routine check, X-ray of the lungs, they found the mass again. Right. And I was adamant. I was like, no, this is what it is. These are my results from last time. It's absolutely fine. And I'm so grateful to that doctor that stood there that day and trusted his knowing, not mine, and was like, because you're new to the NHS, we want to complete our investigation as to what this is. And I was like, fine, I think it's this. I'm not worried. I'm invincible, whatever.
Have you seen my tape?
Yeah. My body's a temple. I don't need anything. It's all fine. Sure. So he trusted his intuition and his knowing, which I'm so grateful he did that. And anyway, come back to this February. I went into the specialist's office and he said to me, you have a 4-centimeter tumor in your lung. And it's grown since that last scan you had 5 years ago. And he was like, and we would like to operate as soon as possible. And I said to him, well, my angel, I have just signed my dream contract this morning. I'm feeling the fittest and the healthiest I've ever felt in my life. I've worked so hard and I'm not about to have my second West End contract cancelled again. No, I refuse for this to happen. What are the possibilities? Thank you, Access Consciousness Tools. What else is possible? So I say to him, do you think that I can do this show and then have surgery? Because at the time, it was just a summer show for 3 months. And he was like, we can do this. So I was able to do the show, and he was quite certain at the time that it was benign. It was a benign tumor, so he didn't feel it was anything majorly to stress about. Yeah. But it's still crazy when you get told you have
a tumor
in your lung and you need to have surgery. So we booked the surgery 2 days after closing the show in the West End. Yeah, and I guess the journey started then, and it was really tough. It was tough to be having this incredible experience of reaching a dream moment and receiving a dream moment, but then at the very same time having this parallel experience of you can't do anymore. You're not allowed to audition because you're going to need downtime, and then everyone else around you is already moving on to the next project, auditioning, booking jobs, getting callbacks, getting finals. Everyone around you is like getting job security for the next thing, and you going, oh my God, I'm in this moment and this is what's coming up for me, and that's quite hard. But in the same breath, it was very Yeah, I always like to look at every moment in my life as what is it teaching me, and how am I able to learn and grow from this. And in those moments, it was teaching me to be present, because up until that point, I thought I was living presently, but I needed to really live presently. So that was the journey where I started to practice that moment. And anyway, yeah, how much detail do you want me to go in what happens next?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think the whole journey of what has occurred with you and your body and the tools that you've used, Jarryd, such a gift. And because it's interesting being, it's so weird I'm saying this, but it's like, it's interesting being on this side of it as well, because there was so many of us, so many of us aware of what was going on for you.
Love you.
And really desiring something different, and yet knowing you had the strength to and the bravery, as we've mentioned, to go through this and choose something. But also, you're the only one. You're the only one that can choose this. That this is you and your body. It's like, you can have someone holding your hand, but it's you and your body. And for me, that journey you've gone through with you and your body and where you are now is friggin' incredible. So,
Thank you, friend.
So you had the operation, and what did you find out?
Yeah. And just on that, like, and we'll circle back to that, but I have had the most amazing support from friends and family, near and far, all of the things, and people's good intentions and their tools and their magic and their contributions to me. But again, when you're having to be faced with yourself in a moment where your body's requiring you to go through something, it's only you that can take yourself through that.
Yeah.
No one's gonna, no pill, nothing's going to make it easier for you. You just have to hunker down into that bravery, into that courage within you. But only you can get yourself to that space. And yes, everyone around you standing, holding space for you makes it helpful. It encourages you to lean into your bravery even more. But at the end of the day, it's a choice. You have to go, okay, well, I'm either going to end this fight and I'm ready to cross, baby, because I literally don't want to do this anymore. Or you face with the reality like, oh, we going fucking through this. We going through this, whether you like it or not. So that first surgery happened, and 3 weeks after I had my first keyhole surgery to remove the tumor, I had that phone call from the doctor, which no one ever wants to hear. And he was like, we found a rare form of cancer in the tumor, and you have two options: chemo, radiation, or an open surgery, because we have enough margins to remove everything, and we'll have to remove half your lung. And I was like, fuck. And whilst he's talking, it's literally like a movie where you're like underwater and like it's just mumbling, and your whole reality is like spinning, and you're like, oh my God. And I don't think any tool or any moment can prepare you for those tough human experiences. When someone dies, when your pet dies, like, the hard shit, like you get told you have whatever it is. And I just remember, having a breakdown in that moment. I said to the doctor, let's do surgery. It was a split-second decision. My gut and my knowing was like, we're going. Let's do this. Like, if you think this is the best option for me, I trust you. He said, because it's a rare form of cancer, we're pulling the best team together of professors from, I think it was King's College of London, So I immediately felt like the universe had my back. And I
Right.
was like, this is mad. I've been living in London for 2 years.
Yeah.
So and I get goosebumps because I could never have afforded this process in South Africa.
Yeah.
Healthcare, private health. I just wasn't on the right things. I moved to London, actioned all of that, paid my 5 years of NHS fees up front, and then the NHS had my back.
Yeah.
And this is one of the best hospitals in the world. I suddenly had the best team of doctors, the best team of specialists. So I was like, wow, okay, cool.
It's a miraculous creation.
Absolutely. And I was like, oh, wow, what did my body know? I mean, I wasn't thinking this in the moment, but what had been supporting me because of my choices, because I was willing to follow those whispers of consciousness, like we talk about, to grow and change my life. It set up this for me to be okay and supported when I needed it. I can only say that now in hindsight, but in that moment, again, my incredible friends and Dr. Dane phoned, and I said, listen, this is I'm spinning, like this is happening. And again, it was, at the end of the day, it was all about just getting really present with the situation. And a long story short, from that moment, I had 5 surgeries thereafter. The second open surgery was touch and go. It took almost the whole day. There was an opportunity where I could have crossed and not made it in that surgery. But I chose to stay, and I chose in that moment, I believe, when I was on that table, to go, I will get through this, and I will rectify and be accountable for anything I've done in my life. So if this is karma, I'm paying back, whatever it might be, I'm going through this, and we're going to change. And because when you're sick, in inverted commas, when you're going through something, you don't have the energy to be in your ego, essentially. You only have the space to be absolutely present with your body and go, hi body, what do you need? Okay, we're in fucking pain. We're going to call the nurse right now.
Yeah.
Give me some more.
Those little buzzer things. Or when they do you and they go, you can press this and it's going to inject the painkillers, and you're like, there's not enough. There's not enough.
Yeah. And like that first surgery was hard, but wow, like I had the most incredible nurses, compassionate, kind, joyous. I remember having the surgery and then having to have my birthday in hospital. In pain. And I had like 15 nurses all singing happy birthday to me in the ward with a cake.
Yeah.
And it just like genuinely the whole every day, how are you, like genuinely caring and getting through. And I was like, wow, these people who follow their passion and who do acts of service are so important. And how society has built up fame. You need to be famous, and you need to be a billionaire, and you need to be this and this. No, you need to follow your joy, and you need to follow your passion, because a teacher is so valuable. A nurse is invaluable. A doctor, like, oh my gosh, all these magicians. Incredible.
I had I mean, it's not a big surgery. I mean, but compared to you, if
No. Everything's valid for everyone individually.
Yeah, in 2015, I had a hysterectomy, and they had to like cut me like a cesarean because I had this massive fibroid in my uterus. And when I came out, I was sort of like, I went to sit up and I couldn't sit up and I couldn't move. And I literally remember in my head going, what the fuck am I doing? I was like, what have I done here? And then I think it was like 2 days later, because they were like, you need to either fart, poop or something before we let you out, So I was just like, okay, I need to like do something here. And I was brushing my teeth and I dropped my toothpaste and I had to call the nurse because this, like, that may have well been at the top of Mount Everest. Like, I couldn't pick the toothpaste up, it wasn't happening. I couldn't bend down. And when I called her in and I told her and I got a bit upset about it, and she said, if that's the hardest thing that I have to do all day, I'm going to have a great day. And I'll never forget that moment of just the way she was so easily and so kind at just picking up my toothpaste when I felt like that was the hardest thing in the world to ask for. Like, so simple. And it's like, how often do we not ask to we actually do whatever we can to avoid receiving? And yeah, you're right. There's people out there like this nurse was just incredibly ingenuous with who she was and how she be. Have you ever wanted to have all the Access classes in the same place? Or you're new to Access and would like to discover more? Check out the app at access.me. There's a class for any topic, and you literally have access to over 25 years of classes of change, choice, and possibility. Jarryd, part 2, because we had some technical problems because you're in China. Let's say China. Everybody else does.
Yay! And we back. Yeah. I guess kind of the energy of what I was saying was how when you're having to go through a surgery or something quite intense with your body, and when your body is trying to show you something, is also how much kindness there is around you. And how we can receive from that kindness, be it our family, friends, nurses, doctors, but that we have to be brave enough to go through it. But where that was also coming from was what it showed me was how valuable following your passion and following your joy is.
Yeah.
And not choosing and chasing the fame, the money, and what society thinks is a successful position in the world, or a valuable position in the world. Because my word, the value that I was receiving from those nurses every day was invaluable. I would, in those days, if you said to me, I'll give you $1 million, or I'll give you a team of nurses with kindness, compassion, and absolute excellence, which one will you choose? I'll choose the nurses with excellence, compassion, kindness, and following their knowing in every moment with me, versus what's the $1 million going to do in that moment for me? Being at just the $1 million, and so so I guess it was so much, and I was sick for many months, and I went through many procedures. I'm now cancer free, which is incredible. Yay! And
But what
I'm
happened with the lung
extremely
surgery?
grateful.
Like, what happened with the lung surgery? Like, do you have a full lung or half a lung or?
Yeah, so now I have 1.5 lungs.
I love it. You have
Which
one.
is crazy.
Yeah.
1.5 lungs, casual. And
How does that
it
feel in
also
your body now?
it felt different straight away, because I remember the first time I was discharged from the hospital and I had to take an Uber from the hospital home. And I swear to God, every time that Uber driver was not conscious and hit a fucking bump, I wanted to absolutely annihilate him through the back of the chair. Because your organs do not have shock absorbers.
Yeah.
So suddenly I was having this somatic, deep awareness of my body inside. And I was like, oh, okay. Our bodies are amazing. My God. Like, they are built, they're magic. And I was like, okay, well, you can't, you just got to brace yourself. And through every bump, it was painful. But yeah, so that was an awareness. I was like, oh, suddenly it's not an injury like I pulled my muscle and I know how to get through
Yeah.
this, or an easy flu and I know how to get through this. This was like something so foreign to me
Yeah.
that I didn't know how to get through. However, I did know how to get through it
Mm.
because my
Yeah.
body was showing me how to get through
Yes.
it. And and I remember I did a call with you.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing something about pain. We did a
Uh,
telecall with
yeah.
something bodies and
Bodies
pain
and
or
pain.
something like
Yeah.
that. And I was
Gift
in
of
so
pain.
much
It's
pain.
called the gift of pain.
Exactly, the gift of pain.
And you're like, the gift.
Ah. And I was like sitting there on that call in so much pain. But yeah, everything, I'm just so grateful for my mindset,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for my body and the fact that I was able to choose, because I think a pandemic that is in this world is being a victim, and it's like it's a real problem, you know, like, oh my gosh, the stories. I remember that was one of the gifts in Access Consciousness. Was I came to Access Consciousness and oh my god, did I have stories, because I'm a storyteller, number
And
one.
they are real and they are true. And you better get this.
Yeah. And you know, and it's not to discount what has happened to me in my life. And you know, one day I will write that book and I will share with the world what has happened, but it's not, I'm not living in that.
Mm.
And I'm not living in the trauma and that story. And it was a gift to say, hey, stop
Mm.
living in your story, get out of your story, get out of being a victim. You have choice. So if you're present with your body today, what are you going to choose? I'm going to choose to be brave. I'm going to choose to be here in this moment. I'm also going to choose to be really grateful for medicine. Like, oh my gosh, because some people get on their high horse about medicine and they don't want to take this. And I'm like, what does your body know?
Yeah.
What does your body? I mean, even with a little slight segue as an example into fitness world, for so many years I was told take creatine for your body, builds muscle, makes you. It's what you need. Scientific studies have proven that creatine is so good. I'm like, yes, but on those 1,000 bodies, that body wasn't my body. It was tested on. It was the 250 people that study was tested on. What does my body know? It hates creatine. I get so sick on creatine, it's ridiculous. Every time a coconut, someone tells me, I read an article, take creatine. Boom, I get sick. As soon as I get off it, I build muscle.
Yeah.
I just go to the gym and I listen to my body. So it was the same thing with medicine, where you suddenly get a world full of information from people. Go natural, go this, do this, don't do this, take this worked for me, that worked for them. I have firsthand experience with this. I'm like, wow, how
Mm.
grateful am I to have all this information? But it's a lot and it's overwhelming. What body, what do you know?
No.
And what is going to be the best for us? So let's explore. But how can you can't explore if you don't want to make a choice?
Mm.
So let's choose this and see if it works or not. And if it does, amazing. And if it doesn't, then make a new one. So how cool is that Access has those tools for us, you know? Again, so simple. Simple tools.
Well, I'm going to say, how great is it that Access has the tools, but how great is it that you use them? Because
Yes.
Access can have all the tools and you can go to classes, as you said, you can read books, you can do all of that, but it's actually using them. And I love that you were talking about, you know, your organs, etc., and for you, your lungs. And when I was talking before about when I had my hysterectomy and the doctor came in and I was like completely out of it on the drugs that they're giving me. And I went, he said, do you have any questions? And I went, yeah, I do. And I said, it's been troubling me all night. And he goes,
what's that? Because the fibroid was like this big in my, like it was massive. So I'm doing like the size of a cantaloupe, like a rock melon at the moment, right? If you're just listening. And they took my uterus out and I was like, what do all the other organs do? And he went, what do you mean? I went, well, there's a big space now. And I went,
Yeah, what's
what
going to fill the
happens?
space?
Yeah, I was like, what happens? And he looked at me. He was so sweet though. Like he wasn't like, oh, this chick's crazy. And he said, they work it out. And he said, all your organs will move around and they will work it out and they will find the space that is theirs. And I was like, wow, that is so freaking cool. And ever since I had
But
that,
isn't that line, that
yeah,
sentence,
they'll work it
you'll
out.
work it out,
Yeah.
like
Or your body
that,
will.
that,
Yeah.
that needs to be a post. Like, you'll work it out, because you will, but
Mm.
you will work it out, not your sister, your mom, your best friend, not Access Consciousness will work it out for you. You will work it out. Your body will work it out with you. Yeah,
Well,
so simple, so powerful.
and when you were saying before, about like people who like the fame or money, etc., and all that sort of stuff, that's great. And um I really became so aware of, like, people look at, like, say, image, what do I look like? Da da da, this whole thing. That's also very, prevalent in our reality today. And
Yeah,
talking to my organs all the time. And literally, like when I wake up in the morning now, I say good morning to my body and good morning to the earth. And then I'll put my attention somewhere on my body and just give it a little bit of extra special attention. And it could be like this morning,
amazing.
I did my discs because this time last year I had these bulging discs and they said to me, oh,
Yes,
you can't make new discs. And I went, maybe I can. So I've been asking to generate new discs. So I literally just put my attention on there and I breathed into there and just did this slow breathing.
amazing.
And it was like 1 minute, and then I got up.
Yeah,
And or it might be my I don't know, it might be my kidneys or anything that are, or my intestine, and
but did you
start
see the difference?
and
Did the difference in your energy in that moment is that
mm, are present.
you really know that
Yes.
that's going to work.
Yeah. And
You're not,
you
you
can
have to
hear.
really be in that energy,
Yeah.
because so many people can learn the tool, and it's okay if you don't get it the first time. Sometimes it can take really long time, but you really are knowing
Mm,
that attention and that space and that energetic awareness to those discs is going to regenerate. But that exploration with you trusting your body and your own body's magic, that journey
mm,
is a discovery.
yeah.
And I think that that's what this process, or anything with our bodies,
Yeah.
is our bodies asking us to go on that journey of discovery with it,
Yeah.
so that you can trust it more, instead of thinking whatever you might be thinking in that moment. But yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's yeah, and being present with your body, what a gift and what an exploration. And I also want to say, I don't think it's somewhere that you land and you go, I got it. It's not. It's constant exploration. And we chose these bodies. So what did you choose it for? You know?
Exactly. And I think, I haven't done a class because I've been healing in a long time. And then I was getting like FOMO, and I was getting like not panicky, but I was like, oh my gosh, consciousness is growing all the time, and I'm not with it anymore, and I haven't done a class in a long time. I
Ah,
was like, hang on, what you are doing is really grounding what you have learned so far.
yeah.
Like, and
Amazing.
in this moment, when I look back over the past 3 years, 4 years that I've known about Access Consciousness and worked with it, and just in my life in general, you know, it is a, it's, there's such a gift in being able to go, hang 10, I need to get really present and learn to be present
Mm,
and follow your gut and intuition, and follow the knowing every moment, and feel what that feels like, and practice. It's like working a muscle. You have to practice it, like, and practice choosing, and then practice being conscious enough to go, oh, that was a fuck up, and what gift is that? And consciously choosing, what is the gift in this? What is this teaching me? Oh, that person's acting like a complete, absolute see you next Tuesday. Right. Wow, I'm aware of this behavior.
Yes.
Great. Like, I'm not going to choose that again, or I'm not going to be around that energy. And so I'm really grateful I'm really grateful to be healthy, and I'm really grateful that Chicago the musical was, you know, allowed me the space to rehabilitate myself back into my profession that I love so much. That was, again, the universe showing me, hey, I have your back. I mean, I had my costume fitting and I still had a chest drain in. I think I was still 10 kilos overweight. I can't remember what my point was. Oh, it's just that was my reality at the time, that I was very much healing with my body. But Chicago International Tour had come to me at the beginning of last year, 2024, and about the March, and were like, are you available? And I was like, I'm not. I'm currently going through this situation. And the real gift in it was that they didn't say, fine, and discard me like, uh, you're broken.
Yeah.
Which so many actors and people in the entertainment industry feel like, if you physically can't do something, that you just replaced. And in some aspects, that has been the reality for a lot of people. And I'm just really grateful that they changed that narrative and were like, okay, when will you be ready? And I was like, wow. And then it was like, will you be ready for September?
Mm.
And I was like, I'll make sure I'm ready. And it felt right in my
Yeah.
gut.
Yeah.
And I was like, what a gift. And I still had about 2 more procedures to go.
Yeah.
Um, that I had a goal to work toward.
Oh, that's
But
yeah.
the universe gave me an option to go, hey, because there were many times when I was lying in hospital and I was going, am I ever going to dance again?
Yeah.
Am I ever going to sing again? Because I know that's another topic of excellence. I know how much work it requires to be excellent. And
Yeah.
for anyone listening, don't fear excellence. Don't be perfect, but be excellent.
Mm.
Be courageous enough to be your most excellent self every day. Be brave enough to pursue excellence, because by going for excellence, you completely, um, it completely outweighs perfection, and it's more attainable. And it allowed me to go, the universe was like, okay, I was like, oh my gosh, lying in hospital, I was like, how am I know how much hard work it requires to be, let alone uh, functioning as a, just a healthy person, not being on stage.
Yeah.
But now I've got to I've got to climb another mountain to be on par with the excellence that is
Yeah.
in that show. Fucking hell, how am I going to do that? um, and it was a journey. It was one of the hardest years ever, but I had friends show up who were personal trainers and fitness experts that were like, okay, we've got your back. You don't have to pay. Come, we've got you. And had the tools. I had all of you supporting from afar with your magic and your questions. And there were just moments, because I was showing up for myself first.
Yeah.
And I was making the choice first, then the
Wow.
universe could back it up.
Yeah. I so get that. It's like you weren't avoiding receiving. You're actually
Yeah.
receiving.
Because so many people will wait for the gift, or wait for the universe to step forward for you so that you can kind of maybe be brave enough to maybe take that first choice. No, we've got to go,
You make
I'm
the
here. Yeah, we've got to make the first choice. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm choosing.
Yeah.
Okay, show me the way, show me the way every day, show me the way. And to cut a long story short, it was time to go. It was time to fly. I had 1 day rehearsal in London to remember the show.
Wow.
One. That was another gift my body showed me. I was like, how the hell am I've just gone through this crazy 2-year experience with my body. Now I have 1 day to remember this show. And then I'm flying to China I think we flew on the Monday, we landed on the Tuesday, and we performed on the Wednesday night.
Wow.
Exactly. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
And I was like, good grief. This is okay. Body, are you ready? Because we're doing something crazy here. And we did. And
Yeah.
then I remember taking my first bow on stage.
Wow.
And it was such an amazing moment. And it does bring, that emotion, because in that moment, you're so grateful for everyone in my life who helped me get there. But I was really grateful for my body and for me choosing to get there.
Oh, I love that. Thank you,
I
Jack.
had to get there first.
Yeah.
But with allowing myself to receive help along the way. And that was such a cool moment. And then since then, 6 years ago, I was touring China, and my goodness, I found it so tough. I was like, I can never go back. I can never do this experience. And I was doing the same show. We were introducing Chicago to China 6 years ago. I was like, no, I categorically cannot do this again. Here I was after this whole experience, doing this show I absolutely love. And before I left, I said, China, show me your best. Every day, show me your best. Show me your excellence. Show me your magic. Bring me your best every day. I want to have the most incredible time ever. How can I change this? I want to work hard with the company. And I just stated, to the universe what I wanted. And I promise you, it has been the most amazing tour here in China. And China's showed me its best. And China has been beautiful and interesting and adventurous. And I've seen consciousness here and growing here and minds and awareness. And how cool is that? And what gift is that from all of us doing the work around the world to help expand consciousness at one time? You know what Gary says, when you do Access Bar session, how much change that happens. And what if now
Yeah.
we're starting to see that change actually happen?
Yeah.
And how cool is that? And then I was in the city that I was in beforehand 6 years ago, and I was having the best time in the city. And every day, every moment, I was like, huh? Was I here 6 years ago? And they were like, yeah, you were in the same theater. And I was like, that moment really showed me your point of view creates your reality. Because I was not willing to see the city's magic. I was not willing to receive the city's magic. And I didn't even ask the question.
Yeah.
I was just so in my own shit that I'd chosen. I was unhappy. I'd chosen and concluded I was surrounded by toxicity, and I'd given up. No, I don't want to receive. This time round, I was like, how on earth is this same place? Because it's so cool.
I thank you for that too. The first time I ever went to India, I was 15 years of age and went and stayed in ashram and, a whole backstory with that. But I started having a point of view about India for quite some time and was sort of like, going to India. And then I went with David Kubis, who I think you know,
Yes.
And
Love David.
my good friend, and he'd never been to India. So I got to see India through his eyes, and he was just like, wow, this is great. And like the rickshaw and the traffic and everything that was annoying me, he was seeing the beauty in it. And I was so grateful. I was like, oh, thank you, David. You showed me India again, like what it can be. But
Yes.
I realized then too how quickly we create a point of view and go, oh, this doesn't work for me. I
And
don't.
how you had held onto that point of view since
And it
15.
wasn't true. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh no, not
And
since I
who
was 15. I did business in India. Like I went there 3 times a year for years. So it took me quite some time
amazing.
to have that point of view.
Yeah.
I still created that point of view until I went there with David and just went, wow, okay, this can actually be different. So I'm going to actually suggest anyone listening to this too. It's like, where do you have this fixed point of view and this solidification of a point of view that you have that's limiting you and not allowing you to receive from the entirety of the universe? And
Amen. Yeah.
that is destroy and uncreate it, access consciousness clearing statement, right and wrong, good and bad, pocket pod, all 100 shorts, boys, perverts, creations, bases, and beyonds. Dude, has it changed?
Dude, it's changed. That is the first time it has been cleared on me. Yes, for receiving
That's
that.
a full clearing statement. And I'm sure about now you can go to theclearingstatement.com and then there's, I don't know, I think it's a pretty long video of me and Dane talking about it. I think they're going to shorten something as well, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. There's so much.
It's a great tool.
Yeah, it is. Hey, Jarryd, I would like to finish off here with asking you some questions. So
yeah,
I wanted to look at this with 2025. My podcast is called Choice, Change, and Action. So these don't have to be long. They can be like a bit of a rapid fire. But I want to ask you, number one, what would you like to choose over the next 12 months?
My knowing.
Mm-hmm. Your knowing?
Yeah. I would like to choose my knowing in each moment, to choose to be present in each moment, and to choose to receive and create excellence every day, and receive and gift that every day.
I'm going to ask for that too. I love it. So what would you like to change over the next 12 months?
Something that comes to my mind now is I would love there to be more kindness in the world. Something, I just get kindness, more kindness.
Okay, cool. And then, I mean, the last part of my podcast is about, the action, like choice, change, and action. And everything that you've just mentioned, it's like, what action will you be taking to actualize what you just asked for?
Again, to really be present every day and know that my today creates my tomorrow. And if I can not live in the future, not live in the past, but be really grateful in this day and ask questions for this day and be aware enough to receive the magic in each day and have so much fun. Oh my God, I want to have so much fun in each day.
That's an action. Literally, having fun is an action.
Fun is an action.
Mm.
Yeah, and just have the courage and bravery to just do that each day and then see what shows up, not conclude.
I love that. See what shows up.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could give one tool or one question to the entirety of the world, the whole world is listening to you right now, what would you say?
Something that comes to mind right now is be you.
Yeah.
Your superpower is being you. And if you can start there and learn to discover who you are, it will be the biggest unlock for your entire life. And to embrace all that uniqueness. And slowly but surely, the more you be you, the more you will discover your purpose, the more you'll discover your journey, the the more you'll just grow.
Oh, I
Go
like
be you.
that having fun part 2.
Yeah.
Have fun. Like, it's like, the simple part of it.
I
So
think someone said to me once before, they were like, I think it was like, basically, the purpose of life is to live your truth and to have fun.
yeah. Gary Douglas said that
And
to
I-
me years ago. What if the purpose of life was to have fun? And I got so annoyed at him because I went, do you know how many conversations I've had with my friends about what my purpose of life was and how many really significant things I've come up with? Am I supposed to like save the dolphins and the whales? Am I supposed to do that? All these different things. And he was like, what if the purpose of life is to have fun? And I was like, God damn it. And I looked at it and I went, God, I can do everything. But if I have joy in my world,
yeah.
fun in my world.
And can I say something quickly?
Mm,
And that's including every aspect of you. Have
yeah.
fun with all of you, because sometimes people have fun and numb an aspect of themselves because they're
Yeah.
having fun, or they're going to do this choice because it's fun, in inverted commas, like, but actually it's harmful to the body or harmful to their mind or
Yeah.
toxic for their spirit. So what if we could have fun, mind, body, and spirit, like
Okay, I
the
know we're
whole
ending,
thing?
and I need to add a little quickie in here because years ago I hurt myself at Pilates, and I was talking to Gary, and I said, "Hey," and I was asking him about it, and I was like, "But it was so much," and he said, "Don't you tell me it was fun," and I went, "That's exactly what I was going to say." I was doing these wall handstands, and
You've
I
told the story. I love this story. It's so
oh,
powerful.
well, it is really powerful because I was doing these wall handstands. It was great. It was fun, and my Pilates instructor said, are you done? And my body was like, we're done. And
Yes.
I went, no, I want to do one more. And I did one more. And what I got to was, though, like exactly what you're saying there, is when he said, because he said to me, you have to stop when you go to this is so much fun. And I was so annoyed because I thought, oh, that's then my whole life is not about fun. And I realized what he was telling me was, what he was suggesting is that the second I go to this is so much fun, I came out of question because my body knew, my Pilates instructor knew, you've done for today. And I was like, no, one more. My shoulder. And that shoulder was like months and months was out.
That story of yours, you've
Mm,
told on in some of the podcasts I've listened to, and every time you tell it, I
yeah.
receive it so amazingly. And it's like, it's such a reminder,
Mm, mm,
because yeah, society can paint this exploited version of fun, but what's the true version of fun for us
yeah. Well, like
in
me and you,
communion?
do you know how many people, Jarryd, like friends of mine, friends of yours, no one met up with anyone. Nearly everyone I know was at home in bed by like somewhere like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10
Me
o'clock.
too.
Like,
I was in a
no one.
hotel room.
Yeah, no one. Everyone's like, no, I just need some quiet time. And everyone was so happy about it. Like it wasn't like it was like, oh no, poor pitiful me. It was like I had some champagne in the afternoon with some friends, and by like 5:30, I was like, okay, done. Bye.
Yeah.
Just
How
wonderful.
funny is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah. I think some of our cast had a party upstairs at the bar, and I think I'd ordered room service for myself, and I was in my gown, and I was feeling all my vibes. Music was playing, da 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 da, and then I thought, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go up like 10 minutes before countdown,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go just be there for that moment. So I did. I went up, Happy New Year, ga 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 ga. And not 5 minutes later, I was back in my room,
Yeah. Yeah.
completely happy. And I was like, there we go. That was a good choice for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
had fun.
And choose what works for you. So Jarryd,
Yeah, because they still had fun. Yeah.
what next for you? Where are you up to now?
So in a week's time, I fly back to London, and then I fly back to South Africa for the month of February, which I cannot wait for because I haven't been to South Africa in 3.5 years since I immigrated to London. So I don't know. I'm going to explore that. And then potentially I could be going on another tour with Chicago. So we shall see. But again, I'm setting intentions and I'm being in the question more every day than going, this needs to happen by this month and this needs to happen by then, because I haven't known. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it better be magical. I know what the requirements should be.
Yeah.
So universe, make sure it's X, Y, and Z, but how it happens and how it shows up, yeah, I don't know.
Let's reach for more and reach higher in 2025.
Yes, and my one request is I have to see you this year.
That would be amazing. Well, let's see where
That
you
would be
are.
amazing.
You'll be in Europe for like, I think 3.5 months. So
amazing. We'll make it happen.
And if you're in London, I love London so much. I do London so well.
You do London so well.
One of my favorites.
You're definitely a London girl.
Yes. Cool.
Perfect.
Well, Jarryd, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, my friend.
And everybody listening, please don't forget to subscribe. We're going to have in the show notes, you can follow Jarryd on Instagram, and you can find out what he does next after, South Africa, etc. And is there anything else you would like to say to the listeners before we go?
Just thank you so much for listening, and thank you for choosing Simone's podcast, because it's been such a gift in my life, and I hope it continues to be a gift in yours, because it's just been such a joy to share today's episode with you all. So thank you.
Thank you. And I would ask yourselves all too, what are you going to choose? What would you like to change? And what action are you going to take? So thank you, everyone.
Boom.
Thanks for being here, and we'll see
Yay! Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favorite listening platform to get notified of new episodes. We read all the reviews, so if there's any topic you would like to hear about, let us know. If you'd like to know more about the tools, information, and classes mentioned in the podcast, head on over to SimoneMilasas.com and follow me on Instagram at Simone Milasas, or the podcast has its very own link on Instagram at Choice, Change, and Action. Don't forget, you can download the show notes, and lastly, have way too much fun today.